Double easy. Another episode all about semis. How about y'all, dear drivers? Well, still out here doing a reset. Wait until camera cut off for me, y'all. Sorry about that. So I can deliver. Meanwhile, in the midst of this, I'm just taking some time doing a little R&R, man. It's gonna be a long weekend, to say the least. But what y'all came out here for, just hear what I had to say about surviving out here during these times, and what do I do? What do I do to survive, and what have I come up with to make the best out of the situation, with fuel being our number one main issue, right now, and combination of that and these rates and the freight that is out here. It's not always about having the right accounts, because believe it or not, there are some brokers that are losing a lot of money too, because some of these companies are not shipping like they normally do because of the times and people not buying. It's a lot of variables to that. It's not all just about the brokers, and everybody don't talk about the side thing. It's always pointing the hands at the brokers being shady and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for that, because there's a lot of shady brokers out there. I've talked about plenty of that. But the meat and potatoes of a lot of these things, man, is that the other things that are out here, and none of that matters if you can't figure out how to survive and how to run your truck so that you can survive. So I'm just going to share with you guys some of the things that I do to survive, make it work in these trying times, because you have to know how to adapt, to say the least. You got to know how to adapt, and if you can't adapt, you don't know how to adapt, it's going to be hard for you out here. Yeah, I mean, it's real. So one of the things that I do, I always start off with, like I told you guys, knowing, I'm trying to adjust this camera, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm trying to know how to book my freight and my weeks. And perfect example of that was, I was home for, give or take, about 2.5 weeks. I came out on Tuesday, and initially I was having an issue with the fuel in the beginning, because I was like, man, how do I continue to run the way that I was running, running OTR and just getting out there and making the profit make sense, because a lot of the fuel was eating up a lot of the profit right out of the hole. So I was kind of, stressing about that a little bit, and you hear a lot of guys talking about it and stressing about it. But keep in mind, I want you guys to really understand the importance of seeing the other gritty side of what's going on out here. When you know your costs and you know everything that you have coming out and going in and coming out and going in and coming out and going in, you have to really be strategic, as I said before. Stand by, and I'm gonna get this phone stationary now that I'm back in the truck, and we're gonna jump right into this. All right, I tried to pause it, but it wouldn't pause. Maybe just start it all over. So what I do now, with things being a little different, oh my gosh, man, what I do with things being a little different with fuel, I came out on Tuesday, and then I told you guys, number one, I always try to have my minimum number for the week. And I gotta make my week be a week. So my minimum number, I like to be at a minimum is 6,000 gross. So I knew when I came out Tuesday that my next week, my week would be ending on a Tuesday. I started looking at the board, looking at the other brokers that I have, and the freight that they had was just ridiculous. I even had a buddy of mine call me from Landstar and say, "Hey man, I'm just curious of what the rates are looking like on your side," because he said I'm seeing $2 and $3 a mile over here, and stuff that normally we would get, you know, $4 and $5 for, you know, at least 300 miles. They talking about $900 and this, that, and the third. Which some guys look at that like 300 miles, 900. Some guys look at that as being good. So I realized that, you know, I needed, you know, my week was going to be ending on a Tuesday. I needed to end on Tuesday. Came out, got a load out of Savannah, going into I can't remember now, Tennessee or something like that. Kentucky, Tennessee, I think it was. I don't remember. And I said I ain't gonna worry about it, because by the time I get out, I'll find something to pick up the next day and drop. Lo and behold, once I got out there and really started looking, my first load I was sitting on was about a $2,000 load. And I'm like, okay, I need to find something that's going, you know, either north or whatever, that's going to be paying me, you know, pretty decent these next 2 days to deliver. Here it was 2 days in, still nothing. I mean, normally I'll shoot up in Ohio and grab something, and I'll come on back home to Florida. I make Ohio using my last, and I've done about 3 loads for the week, and I'll usually make that my last going in. But going from Atlanta, I think it went to somewhere around Atlanta. That's where the load was going. Coming out of Atlanta, I figured I could find anything, you know, coming out of there. Atlanta's pretty hot. Nothing that was making sense. It was a lot of cheap freight out there, which I was not going to haul. But couldn't find anything. So here we are now. It was on a Wednesday, and I was like still sitting at this $2,000, and I'm like, okay, this is getting crazy now. And literally couldn't find nothing. And I'm looking all over different areas of how to, you know, make this work. So all my brokers were looking like really shabbish, and I reached out to a couple of my agents, and even they were saying, hey man, you know, we really just don't have anything worthwhile right now. So I had to go back and think, man, I need to make this work, you know. So I found another load, which is the load I'm on now. It was a bundle load, Uber load at that, a Uber freight load, and it literally is putting me at by the time it's said and done, about 4,600 when it's done. But the trade-off is I picked it up yesterday on the 5th. The first part of this load don't deliver until the 9th. So now I'm sitting on this load, and here it is the 6th, and it delivers on the 9th. But at first I was kind of, you know, like, man, like this is crazy. Like it'll stress you out. But then I'm like, I still had to be positive about it, because one, I'm getting my rest. I really am, because I really needed the rest, because that last running, the last 2 days was kind of crazy. I had 2 loads I had to deliver, because that other loads were like 2 different loads, pick up and delivery. But nonetheless, it kind of messed my schedule up a little bit. So I did a lot of recuperating. So I said I'm going to use this time to recuperate. But the trade-off is that it delivers on the 11th, which is going to put me on Wednesday. Now, generally, I'd be headed home by the weekend, and then I'll be making that delivery on a, you know, Monday or Tuesday or whatever, and everything as well. But now I'm gonna be making that delivery on Wednesday, and I'll be in Florida, but I will not be able to stay home because I have to get out. I have to get back out. So that kind of sucks that I won't be able to, you know, get home and visit the family and whatnot. So, but again, this is the trade-off, and this is when you do what you got to do to make it happen, you know. And But at first, like I said, I was bummed, but then I thought about it. I said, okay, I'm just a day shy of what my week is. So now my week is going to start on a Wednesday. And I'll have 4 hours because I've been under the reset. But starting on a Wednesday, and I'm going to be out till next Wednesday. Because as long as you get that week and you know when your week is, and your week pay, and you hit that number in that week, it doesn't matter where in the month you do it. A week is a week. And when you can kind of have control over when you get paid, you can make it work. And what I mean by that is I bill out my loads when I'm ready to bill them out. So after I deliver them, I can bill them out right then, or I can hold on to them and bill them all out at the end of the week. But generally I bill them right out, so that way money's just going into the bank account, every other day or so as we're delivering these loads, so we can keep operating expenses, covered, or keep money going into the operating account. And that's just a small part of how I survive. I don't get caught up anymore in the worrying about, oh man, it's midweek, or it's a Wednesday and my load delivered, I gotta have them in by Friday so I can get paid on Monday, which is something I had to deal with when I was at Landstar, because Landstar only paid on certain days. And the difference is you could choose what day of the week, but you had that cutoff time, to get your loads in. So that's one of the benefits of being able to dictate how you get paid. So with that being said, now I run my week. If my week starts on a Wednesday, I run it on a Wednesday. If it starts on a Tuesday, I'll stay out to that Tuesday, and however I need to. But at some point, I'll be able to say, okay, I'm going to take off. And when I take off, you already know how I do. When I take off, I'm taking about a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I'm taking off, and that's it. So I don't get caught up in worrying about running out and being out. If I got to be out, I got to be out, because at the end of the day, this is my business, and this is what I got to do to keep it going. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to make it work. The other thing is, fueling. We got to conserve that fuel, right? Slow down, slow it down. And that'll dramatically help you. But even with that, start filling up at these mom and pops, from my owner operators and guys that have the option to choose where they fuel up. Start doing that, because that's the main thing. And sometimes we hurt ourselves getting caught up in these big chains saving, oh, we're going to give you 20% off, 25 cents or 17 cents or 10 cents, whatever it is. But if you look at the fuel prices that they're putting out there, these guys are higher than the mom and pops. And you're talking about, okay, if it's $5.70 or $5.69 a gallon and you're only going to give me 25 cents off, I'm still in the high fives a gallon. I saw fuel yesterday in Georgia for $4.89. I'm not worried about those damn points that I'm gonna get for going to Pilot or whoever. I'm gonna go get that fuel because I gotta pay for it anyway. I'm gonna go get that fuel, and I'm gonna pay for that fuel out of pocket. That's just the bottom line. I mean, for the guys that pay for their fuel anyway, whether you leased on or not, that carrier is gonna pull that fuel out of your settlement. Save yourself a few $100s and look for those mom and pops. I use Trucker Path to find fuel, and I pay for it every month. It's like $9 a month, but that thing has helped me save thousands of dollars by just being able to see the fuel, see the prices, see how far it is. I can see when it's updated, who updated it. Like for instance, if it's a 1.9, you can look on there and it'll say updated by Pilot. If it's updated by Pilot, I know the fuel price is accurate. Sometimes you'll see drivers go on there and they can update it real time and they say, no, it's not this, it's this. And you can see the dates of when it was updated, the prices, because if you don't, you'll end up driving over there and realizing that the fuel price on the app wasn't right. But it pays for itself for me. I know how to utilize it and I know how to use it. And I use those things to my resources I use my resources to my advantage to make that happen, so that I can save on my fuel. Some guys will say mom and pops are not always good because the fuel quality ain't the best, and I mean, I haven't had any issues using mom and pops. I just know certain ones I go to, if I feel like I want to roll the dice, I don't. But you got Mr. Fuel, you got, like I said, 1.9 is good, you got Speedways are good, that are still a lot cheaper than the big boxes. And funny thing is, 1.9 is part of Pilot, but I find that sometimes they are really a lot cheaper. And then it affords me the benefit of using my Pilot card for those points. But I don't get caught up in the points, because again, if I'm saving money, I can pay for my fuel. I can buy my free drinks if I'm saving money. I'd rather save the money all day, and that's what it boils down to. And I utilize my fuel cards, because I do have fuel cards, but I utilize my fuel cards as a supplement and not my primary. I've gotten in the habit of paying for my own fuel anyway, because I'm looking for cheaper fuel. If I can't find cheaper fuel, then I'll go to one of the big box places. Most of the time it's going to be Pilot, because even if I'm not getting the cheap fuel, the least I can do is get money back. And I'll take and use it and go get my points and get my money and get my showers in worst case scenarios. And it translates into me saving somewhere, as long as I'm saving somewhere. And if you add up your costs, you'll know if that saving is worth what you're doing and the way that you're doing those things. But don't get caught up in, I need to go get, this little discount from Pilot or Loves or whatever is better than nothing, instead of putting that effort into fueling and looking for somewhere to fuel up. And I'm gonna tell you something else that helps. Reserve parking. A lot of guys don't want to pay for parking, right? A lot of guys don't want to pay for it. They hate it. I'm gonna tell you something. Reserve parking, when I need to use it, has saved me hundreds of dollars. How you say that? How does paying for parking save me? I did a test one time to see how long it was taking me to find parking when I ran at night, because I used to run at night a lot. And sometimes, once I missed that 8, 9-ish, 10 o'clock, I could hang it up trying to find. And I found that driving around, I was burning several, gallons of fuel sometimes, trying to drive from one place to the next, one place to the next, one place to the next. Trucks idling, trucks running, fuel burning. When I started using that reserve parking, when I would have those issues, and I would only do it when I run into those issues, I was like, oh man, I'm having to trying to find park. I go on my app, look for Pilot that's got reserve parking, and I go to it, go directly there, shut down. No driving around. And just doing that saves several gallons of fuel throughout the course of a week. And you do that after the course of a month, for those guys that are driving at night, that's driving around looking for fuel, for places to park, you'd be surprised how much extra fuel you are burning trying to find parking. And when you start seeing that savings, and then you start actually adding up your savings, because you got to add up what you're spending, and you got to think about how much fuel you're putting in and put it in perspective. Because if you don't have nothing to compare it to, you're not seeing the benefits of what you're doing. And I pay attention to what I'm putting in the truck, how often I'm putting it in the truck, and what I'm spending eating out on the road. And when I look at that and I say, man, you know what? Okay, I might have used 2 reserve parkings for a week. $40. That $40 might save me $100 or so just in burned fuel. Because how much fuel at $5 a gallon? How many gallons of fuel you gonna get? 5? Not even a good 5 at $5.69 or $5.70 or 5 or better. So 5 gallons, are you talking about you getting 5 to 6 miles to the gallon, and you drive 30 miles to find a parking spot and get there, and then there ain't no parking, and you got to drive another 15 miles or 10 miles for part. There you go, right there. That $20 is like $80 now. You see that it saved you. So you got to really look at that, man, of that cost. And these are the things that I do to survive. I'm dealing with a lot, you know, believe it or not, guys. I shared with you, you know, I got the situation right now with the safety audit I'm still working on. My tag expired this month. They just sent me an email. I've been waiting to hear back from them. They talking about they need an updated copy of my insurance. And in the same email, they go, by the way, the one you have on file expires in June of June. So you guys could see my insurance, but you want me to send you a copy of it? Like, and I've already been waiting over 2.5 weeks to hear back from them. I filed my renewal, and they say it could take up to 20 days. Now, I done sent them to them. I emailed them the insurance. Now I gotta wait. And this is the game that a lot of these agencies play too. You know, that they make things much more difficult for us out here than it needs to be. You know, dealing with that. I'm dealing with a lot. Like, I'm really dealing with a lot. Then, you know, like I said, my tags, my insurance actually needs to be renewed. I've been having the agent working on trying to find me, you know, some either cheaper insurance, or let me know if my current insurance company is willing to come down or change the situation. And depending on if they do or not, it's going to depend on if I'm going to stay with them. And if I don't stay with them, then I got to put a whole nother deposit down on insurance somewhere else, you know, and that money that I put down on this insurance will just go to credit towards paying my last bill. It's a lot. So I got to make those choices, and these are things that you deal with when you know, you're owner operator and you have your own authority or whatever. These are things you're going to deal with. So with that being said, is that it's not always glitz and glam, so you got to know how to survive, man. You really have to know how to survive out here, and it's not easy, you know, on top of maintaining your equipment and your truck and all that kind of stuff. Everything is on you. And some guys that are leased on right now, you know, they don't have to worry about as much, even though they might be paying for their fuel. You know, a lot of times, you know, some of these bigger companies can take the brunt. They'll get a bigger discount on fuel, so they'll, you know, that does help for those guys that are leased on. But that equipment is still under them. They still have to maintain that equipment. You know, they still have to replace them tires and things like that. And a lot of that stuff is still on them, you know. But for us owner operators out here and guys that have our own authorities, everything is on us. And these are the reasons why you have to know how to survive these hard times, because the guys that are going to survive are only going to be I call us industrialists. You know, we are the survivors out here, the guys that go out there and make the iron and the materials to keep things going. And those guys that are bringing that stuff to the factories to make it work, we're going to be the ones that survive, because we know what we have to do and we know how to cut those costs. Hence the reason I had to buy a new refrigerator. You know, that refrigerator was over $600, man. You know, but what I was spending out on the road without it was almost equivalent every few weeks. So now that's out the way, and I'm back to old normal. You know, I still got to fix my APU. It went down on me, and that's killing me. That I got to idle my truck, but it's a whole nother video. Luckily today you see the winds blowing. It's been a nice breeze since last night, and I'm going to utilize this. I hope this helps. I don't know when I'm going to be home. I know I'll be back in Florida around the 11th, but moving forward, I don't know what things are looking like and where I'm going to go coming out of Florida and whatnot. I'll start looking at the west and seeing what things are looking like over there. It wasn't looking too good when I saw it, but we'll see. We'll make it work, you know. Remember, the key is have a number, work that number for that week, and make it a week, and you'll be able to start falling into place of the way that you need to be. And even being out here, you see I had to be out here through a whole weekend sitting on the load, you know, from the 6th or the 5th to pretty much the 9th. But even sitting on that load, I made it to my best advantage and to my advantage. So now I got time to sightsee, I got time to relax, recuperate, I got time to do what I want to do and just sit here and make this video, and still come the end of my week, I'll have my 6K, a little over, and I'll be where I need to be. So that's the key. Work your week, work your plan, make your plan and work it. It's your boy Q Deezy, Double Easy. I really didn't intend for this video to be as long as it was, but hopefully you guys will enjoy these other clips and stuff that I've put in here for you, so you can just listen to my voice and look at me flying around and share some of the places that I've been. Hope you guys enjoy. Peace out. How about you, drivers?